Welcome to Frontline News from the University of Maryland School of Medicine News Center. I'm Larry Roberts. Coming up, newly discovered letters are shedding light on Moonlight Graham, the School of Medicine graduate featured in The Field of Dreams, and a message from Dean Reese as he moves into a new position at the School of Medicine. But first, medical students will benefit from a generous gift from School of Medicine benefactor Dr. Maurice Reed. An alumnus, Board of Visitors member, and CEO of Express Care Urgent Care Centers, Dr. Reed has donated $1 million to renovate the Gross Anatomy Laboratory.
This provides an opportunity to use the latest educational technologies to a room that is 50 years old and unable to handle those technologies. It also allows us to bring an operating room-like environment to our students. They'll be practicing medicines in exam rooms, operating rooms. We should be studying anatomy in the context of where they are going to practice medicine.
Originally built in the 1970s, the lab will get better lighting, new operating stations, and technology to support the training of medical students in the 21st century.
By upgrading our infrastructure, we can be prepared to take advantage of augmented reality at the side of our donor. So that, for example, you could see the heart floating as a perfect model and then examine the heart of the donor and compare and contrast the differences. You could see radiological information of the donor superimposed over the donor's physical form, providing that augmented reality interaction that I think is the future of medicine and the future of education.
The infrastructure improvements will support the new Renaissance curriculum, which provides anatomic training through all 4 years of medical school.
And so enhancing the infrastructure will allow us to bring surgical lighting into the environment so that it is most applicable to the practice. And it will make it equivalent for our students coming back in their clinical training to be able to revisit the basic sciences in the context of their clinical learning. And so having that infrastructure is really critical for making the Renaissance curriculum as good as it can be.
After leading the School of Medicine to new heights over the last 16 years, Dean Reese is transitioning to his new role and handing the baton to Dr. Mark Gladwin, who becomes Dean on August 1st.
It's hard to believe that it's actually been 16 years since I became Dean. The time seems to have flown by. Many things have occurred during these years. We've had to constantly change and adjust to the ever-changing healthcare landscape. Of course, the current pandemic forced us to be nimble in making adjustments to our approach, while at the same time staying ahead of the curve. Through it all, what I continue to remember is that we have thrived as a unified academic medical community because of all of you and the very strong partnership that we enjoy with the medical center and the medical system. I could not have imagined when I arrived here in the fall of 2006 that I'd be so fortunate to have worked with such talented, generous, and dedicated team members. I'll always be grateful for everything that each of you have done to help the School of Medicine achieve the extraordinary level of success that we have enjoyed over the past 16 years. I'm also thankful that this will not be a final farewell. I look forward to working with many of you in the future as faculty colleagues, as possible collaborators in my laboratory research, or in my new role as director of the new Center for Advanced Research Training and Innovation, CARTI. In the meantime, I'm confident that the School of Medicine will continue to reach even greater heights. President Abraham Lincoln often is credited with the saying, quote, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." This very statement paints a clear picture of one who believed wholeheartedly in remaining steadfast, in staying persistent, and in never giving up, no matter what trials or tribulations might be faced. At the University of Maryland School of Medicine, that is precisely what we do, and that is exactly what we will continue to do in the decades and indeed the centuries to come. It has truly been a pleasure and indeed an honor for me to serve as the Dean of this great institution. I'd like to take this opportunity to extend a very warm welcome to my successor, Dr. Mark Gladwin, who will be serving as the 31st Dean of the School of Medicine. I'm confident that he will successfully lead the School of Medicine to new heights in the years to come. Thank you, and may God bless each of you in your endeavors.
Under Dean Reese's leadership, research funding and clinical revenue more than doubled, and the School of Medicine climbed to its highest national ranking ever, moving into the top 10 ranking among all public medical schools. Newly discovered letters are shedding light on the life of Moonlight Graham, the real-life Field of Dreams doctor who played professional baseball while attending the School of Medicine from 1903 to 1905. The letters are between Graham and Dean R. Dorsey Cole. They relate to school fees, grades, and job recommendations. Graham sent the letters from the towns where he was playing ball. Filed away for more than a century, the letters were recently discovered by medical alumni director Larry Pitroff.
It was sometime in October that I was up there and fiddled through, and within 3 or 4 minutes, this treasure trove of documents was just there, impeccably laid out, waiting for someone to open. And it was such a thrill, but then a feeling of confirmation that this man was very real. Those documents made him very real to me, and the character in these letters is what really made him special, because we learned, even in medical school, the caring, kind, compassionate man that he was.
Moonlight Graham only played one game in the major leagues and never got to bat. But as a doctor and scientist, Graham hit a home run, spending his entire career as the town doctor in Chisholm, Minnesota.
There's a passage in the movie where Kevin Costner's character says to him, it would be a tragedy if you didn't get a chance to get your major league at bat.
You came this close. I mean, it would kill some men to get that close to their dream and not touch it. God, they'd consider it a tragedy.
Son, if I'd only gotten to be a doctor for 5 minutes, now that would have been a tragedy.
In addition to his medical practice, Dr. Graham conducted important research on hypertension in children.
And it culminated in a paper that was released in the Journal of the Diseases of Children. And Dr. Graham presented those findings at the Mayo Clinic in 1945. And that changed everything. It changed the way medical school was taught. It certainly changed the way pediatricians were to treat their young patients from here forward.
Immortalized by a movie, Moonlight Graham was not only a baseball player, doctor, and scientist, he was a friend to many, a role model, and an inspiration.
Wouldn't work for me one day, will you, boys? Okay, Doc.
And that's Frontline News. I'm Larry Roberts. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.